everybody. We are a movement. It's every single person in this room has got a voice that doesn't seem to have been heard so far by the other parties in this city and by Liverpool City Council. So we've got to change this. But all we need to do is make sure that every single person is out there telling everyone, when you're on the bus, when you're in the store, when you're working, bore the crap out of people. Talk about us. Let them know who we are. Tell all your friends and your relatives. We need help distributing leaflets. A lot of these people are up against think they've got safe seats, mine included. I'm running in Penny Lane. Richard Kemp, I'm coming for you, Richard Kemp. I am coming for you. As are every single other candidate in their wards. I'm going to leave you now just for a minute, but I'm going to pass you over to a committee member who will echo what I've said, but might want to talk about something else. Carl, can you come up, please? Can you welcome Carl? Thank you.
Good evening to all of you. Brave men and women who are prepared to stand against the culture of corruption in this city. It's people like you that can make the change, that can make the difference. Without you, the city is lost. There's been attempts before for independent candidates and an independent mayor. Unfortunately, through no fault of their own, that fell by the wayside because, unfortunately, the message didn't get out to all the good people in this room. The reason that the message has gone out is because of the likes of Susie, Lawrence, Sean, and the rest of the committee. I played a very, very small part in some of the best of those candidates that have come forward. Unfortunately, we've had some great people come forward that may not have either lived in the area or had a business in the area. I only wish we could have taken nearly all those that step forward. What we need from you is commitment to spread the word if you're not standing as a candidate, and also to help get the message across at the doorstep, at the ballot box. You've got the opportunity now to make change and fight for change in your own city. How many people here? 200, 300, not 300 Spartans, 300 Liverpoolians fighting for the future of their city. It's time we stood up in this European capital of corruption that's been going on for far too long. Our children, our children's children are begging this of us. We must fight. But as Susie said, we've got to do it with honour. We have to do it with dignity. We have to push until the very last day for all these votes from the people of the city. Unfortunately, the people of the city need to be educated. And they need to be educated by you, not by fancy leaflets, not by placards, not by posters, by you. One speaks to another, speaks to another. It must be viral. You must all engage with your own community. It needs to be led from the bottom up, not from the top down. We need to invert the triangle and make sure that the people have a say in how their communities are run. Every candidate must put their community first and then collectively the city. Our city, one of the greatest cities in the country, if not the world, with some of the most talented people, we need to push that first. Local jobs, local people, local companies, living wage. And what do I mean by local? I mean that anybody that's put their roots down here and said, right, I want to put this city first. They are local, no matter where they're from. They are our people. And this is something that we need to embrace and take to our heart for everybody in this room and for the children that you brought with you today. I think I need to leave that to rest there. Thank you.
That was brilliant, Carl. Thank you so much. And it is from the heart. People are just moved by words, and I'm getting a bit emotional actually, which is a bit weird. Just keep it going. Keep all of this momentum going. Talk to everybody. Your genuineness is what will come through This is what people want. They don't want lies and deceit. They just want honesty. It's not hard. They want to be heard. You know, there's a very difference between listening and hearing. These people want to feel valued in their lives. Every single person deserves to be valued. Doesn't matter who they are, what colour, religion, wherever they're from, we're all the same.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Liberate Liverpool. Are we gonna smash this election? First of all, what some of you might know is that there is 14,748 families currently sitting idle, waiting for homes in Liverpool, and Liverpool City Council have only recently, in the last 10 years, built 18 houses, and they've given them away to their mates. So, where do we go from here? We get out on the doorstep and we tell the people that we need the votes to cancel the corrupt culture that is Liverpool. £150 million in delegated powers is offered to quangos in this city, like Liverpool Bid, like Downtown in Liverpool. All of these organisations all take money out of the pot, away from our children. There's £1 million missing from Bico, from the car parks that were around the football grounds that Nick Small, and I'll name him, Nick, if you're listening, there you go. Nick Small, Anne O'Byrne, Steve Mumby, all on the directorships of Bico, have defrauded the people of Liverpool. They withheld monies that were meant for Walton, County and Anfield, some of the poorest areas of this city. It's disgraceful. These are supposed to be elected officials that are representing us. Well, I'll tell you now, they don't represent me, and I'm sure they don't represent any of you in this room, because you wouldn't be here. Because we are going to liberate Liverpool one street at a time. While they were building them 18 houses that they gave away to the mate in an RSL, they paid over £1.6 million in wages and kickbacks to their own officers. One particular councillor, Frank Hunt, was given a job because he lost his seat. He lost his seat in Chilwell, and Joe Anderson gave him a job the next day. Not bad, is it? Hey, you're a loser, but we'll pay you off anyway. And it's like that, and I can go right through the list that I've got in my hand. £3 million, Liverpool street team are the people that clean our city. Sometimes they're out at 4 o'clock in the morning cleaning the city, sometimes they're out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, how did he lose £3 million? Because we're already paying the staff out of the funds that the council hold. So where's that £3 million gone? You might want to ask yourself, and you might also want to ask your Labour representatives in your communities. Remember the Tarm Academy down on the North Dock Road? Well, the idea was to train our own people, our own kids, in laying roads. We all know what happened to £4 million there. Chilwell flyovers, that money's gone, £6 million missing. £7 million is owed to us by the Eurovision host arena, M&S Bank Arena. They owe us £7 million in rent that they won't allow us to collect. This is money for our children and our elderly. We cannot have elderly people waiting for stair lifts or waiting for walk-in showers because of disability, and M&S Bank and Arena owe us £7 million. Come on, people, this is not right. And of course, we're looking forward to the Eurovision party at St George's Hall, aren't we? They've just announced today that the tickets are going on sale. But let me tell you that as soon as the party's over, the Lime Street roadworks is going to start all over again at a cost of £13 million. We all know that our schools struggle with their budgets. We know that we've heard in the past, Joe, has told everyone that would listen that he's built 12 new schools. Joe never built them. Labour never built them. Central government's funds built the schools. The city council just applied to them funds. But our schools have just been dealt a hammer blow, and some schools in the Liverpool area are asking teaching assistants to stand aside because they can't afford the electricity for our kids. How shameful is that? This is a Liverpool Labour socialist organisation that is supposed to run a city for its people. This is our city, and it doesn't matter what colour you are, what gender you are, whether you're homeless, whether you're rich. This is our city. You are our people, and everyone in the city, quite rightly, as Carl said, this is our city, and we're going to fight this May to take it back from the corruption that these people bring. Now, a lot of you won't have heard of Lobo loans, but there's some people that might have heard about them in the room. My friend Paul here has heard about them. Now, we're paying £38 million a year in interest. This is your Labour Authority paying £38 million interest on loans and Lobo loans. Let me tell you that our children are in hock until 2088. The last of those loans are going to be paid in 2088. I don't know what Paul Brandt's been doing at finance, but I'm sure it's got something to do with powder in his nose. So let them come after me, because you know what, they've been coming after me since 2012, 2013, and I'm still standing. My legs haven't gone. I've had the visits like other people that are in the room. I've had the gangsters at my door. Here I am. We're going to liberate Liverpool. Every single person in this room has got a duty of care to every other person in the city. It's time to take our city back for the people. Thank you.
How brilliant is he? How brilliant is he, even? Thank you so much, Jimmy. When those figures are thrown out, as Jimmy very eloquently put, it's absolutely disgusting. You know, this is what we need to tell the people on the doorstep. We don't, flyers sometimes, yeah, we get them out there, and you've got them in the room, you've seen them, corruption and fraud. Corruption and fraud, it gets thrown around all the time, but when you hear it like that, in layman's terms, what they're actually doing to take the food out of your children's mouths effectively for their own greedy pockets, that's what we're up against, and that's what we're going to win against. So I'm going to introduce you now to another committee member, Kevin. Some of you have seen him before. Come up, Kev.
I'm actually going Derek and Cora when I speak. I think one of the things I just want to get across to everyone is don't look outside of yourselves for change to happen. Change comes from every single one of you. I'm not special, nobody in this room is any less special than anybody else. We're all the same, and our voice and you know, our own power is the most important thing here. You know, the other day I started canvassing around Club Moor West where I'm going to stand. It was the most surreal thing ever. Like, I was the most anti-political person in the world, I just can't bear it. And I'm canvassing myself in bloody Club Moor West. It was weird. But at the end of the day, you know, we're on a community group, and I always tell the kids, believe in yourself. I always say to them, there's no reason why you can't be the next Prime Minister. There's no reason why you can't run this city. And they look at me like I'm mad. And you know what? Sometimes I thought I was mad, but now I'm walking around canvassing myself, I thought, well, I'm not that mad. But you know, part of that is I want to inspire the kids, I want to show them in this city that believe in yourselves. I think when we leave school and stuff in this city, you always feel like the power's outside your hands, someone else has got your best interests at heart. The proof's in the pudding, these people haven't. They haven't got our kids' best interests at heart. They proved it with what they've done over the years. And that's why I'm standing up, because I thought, who am I waiting for to stand up and do anything for my kids? At the end of the day, no one's coming in. Nobody's going to come in with a magic wand. Every single one of you sitting in this room's got that magic wand in your heart, and that's where this is getting led from. It's a people's movement from the heart. It's for our kids. I know that I'm going to get to my deathbed, and I can look back and say, do you know what? Fucking give it a good go. Give it a good go, and it is. I'm going to throw that 10 years, and I'm not going to stop. It's massive amount. Liverpool's like a village. Do you know what I mean? You start a rumour in here, and it'll be back round with you by Tuesday or something. Do you know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, every single person in here, go away. This is for your kids. It's for my kids, my grandkids. And it's got to be done. And every single one of you in here has got to play a part in that. It's not just for anyone else. So just believe, and together we are all strong.
Thank you.
Right, a few wet eyes in the room. He's very funny. He's probably the funniest one on our committee. He keeps us all sane. But I'm going to introduce you to, without this person, this wouldn't happen. Please welcome Lawrence Kenwright. Thank you.
Thank you. What Kev didn't tell you was that it was Kev and I and another, but a great scouser called Teddy May that met up. So actually Kev is the instigation for what we have here today. And that was only 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, we came up with an idea, and it was totally to go up against the fraud and corruption, which is an absolute fact. And you've heard it from all the great scousers here tonight talking about the trials and tribulations of a council that has been fraudulent and corrupt and hasn't looked after the people that voted it into power. This council has to go. We can't put up with it any longer. I know there are various people in this room that have been abused by this council. I'm one of them. So yes, a lot of people say, Lawrence Kenwright's got an axe to grind. He's coming at this. Absolutely, absolutely. My axe might be a little bit sharper than yours, though. When these people come after you, and it will take your breath away, it certainly took mine away. And I'm not embarrassed to say that when Joe Anderson came after me, it was like going to war, and I had a pea shooter, and he had the Kalashnikov and bombs and everything. And he came after me with building control, health and safety, licensing, every tool in the box, and he beat me. It was only when he got arrested that stopped it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. I lost many years of my life working extremely hard, but that isn't the issue. That put the fire in my belly to go into battle. And I lay off for 3 long years, waiting silently in order to find out just how this council operates. Who are the main culprits? How do they do it? And believe me, between the cluster of people that sit in our committee, we all know how they do it. Can it be proven in a court of law? Not really. Well, it can't, sadly, because they use a situation called delegated powers, which means that doesn't go through standardized council process, but it is still legal. When they want to give away an asset to a friend for £1, and later on, 3 months later, it's worth 5.9 million, which has happened numerous times, by the way. Can they go to jail for that? No, because it goes through council process, and in that council process are councillors who have been voted into their positions, which makes it legal. Moderately corrupt, maybe, but still legal. The only way we can overturn these people, that's if you want to call them that, well, is to beat them at the ballot box. To liberate Liverpool is to liberate Merseyside, is to liberate the North. It's the pebble in the pond that creates the tidal wave. Based on bottom-up politics, not based on bullshit trickle-down. We've all been sold a trickle-down politics where the billionaires become multiple billionaires while everyone else loses money. Money gets printed out. That money then becomes worth less, and that's called inflation, which is a taxation on the poor. And we've all just seen how that works. 1, at the petrol stations, and 2, at the supermarkets. It's made for a very tough climate for everyone. And that's going to be this way now for at least another 6 to 9 months. But if we can win, and when I say win, if we can win 30 seats, then we'll be the dominant party. If we are the dominant party, then we can use our own manifesto. Our manifesto is about openness and transparency. It's about missed opportunities, because most of the people that work within the council are there because of friendships, not because of skill set. And it's also about resilience. What do we do when the next COVID comes? How do we react? Do we need to go to another meeting before we know what we're going to do, how we're going to react to it? Or do we want to already set in stone? So there are certain parts of what we want to bring as our governance, which is totally different than what the governance is there today. Today is about depression, loss, always on the negative. We can create an awful lot of our own wealth with the assets that we have already been gifted. Liverpool has 15,000 properties and an immeasurable amount of land. There is no reason for Liverpool to go around with our heads held low. Firstly, the left of the Labour Party has left the party. Labour Party has gone down from 600,000 members, the largest political party in Europe, since Corbyn's demise and the way he treated Corbyn. It's now gone down to 400,000. I would say that most of the left-wing activists in Liverpool are obviously part of the Labour Party. They've gone. And how do I know that? It's because when you look at the online negative comments and positive comments, normally it's 1 equals 1. But now there are only negative, there are no positive. So the left of the party has left the party and doesn't want to defend what they see as a Conservative in Keir Starmer. So there's a lot of angles here for us, which brings me to the point of the timing of this. It's so unique. It will never, ever come again, where we have the calamity of fraud and corruption and the obvious decline of the Labour Party in Liverpool. It's clear to see. When we come up with what we believe is the right time to go up against the Labour Party, we have a very strong fraud and corruption statement to stay. Labour Party have been in power for 13 years. And now they say we're going to create better jobs, better working environments. Well, where have you been for 13 years? In general, are down the backbone of the city, which is the north of the city. The leafy suburbs is somewhere where we're not going. We're not going to go up against the Lib Dems too much, apart from you, Susie.
Hello? Hello? I need all the help I can get.
Susie's going up against Richard Kemp. But in general, we're not going up against the Liberals or the Lib Dems, but absolutely all against Labour. We are totally 100% against Labour. We do not want Labour to get back in again. If we are successful at the ballot box, and we do get enough councillors, and we do ensure that we create the cabinet and therefore follow our own manifesto, if that is the case, I think it's going to be very hard for Labour to get back in again. Because as soon as we get in, the first thing we're going to do is raise enough capital from the assets or the land that was freely given away to friendships before. We're going to use that land, arm it with plan of permission, put it out there into the public domain to be sold, in order for very early on for us to have the monies we need to invest in the local communities. So all the local communities will have funding day one, well, not day one, maybe 6 months on, but there'll be money there for all of the youth centres, community centres, to all be aligned, centre of excellences, all to be aligned into a cluster and a community that the people within that area that haven't seen investment from the Lib Dem days right through to the Labour days, it's probably around 20 years since we've actually gone out to invest in the suburbs rather than the city centre. And Liverpool has had a period of time where it's had to invest in the city centre, and I agree with that, and I think I was a part of that. And the fact that we've invested so much into Liverpool, now we need to just take the foot off the gas and just go to the areas that absolutely need that funding.
Can I just... I agree with everything that Lawrence has just said, and I just want to try to explain why I'm going up against Richard Kemp. Apart from it being a real personal fight for me with him, Richard Kemp has been the main opposition for Labour. He has known about all the corruption. He was in a position of authority within that town hall where he could have made a difference. He was the main opposition. There's been no opposition in this city, none. So I don't look at Richard Kemp as a Lib Dem. Richard Kemp is Labour. He may as well have a red rosette stamped on his head. He's not said a word. He has sat back for 12 years and he's allowed these people, when he's the leader of an opposition, when he could make change, he's done jack shit, nothing. So, yeah, he's got a safe seat, and I've got a long way to go with this, but I'm going to give it a good shot because I really want to get rid of this lying cheat.
Hell, I've no fury like a woman scorned,
Raging.
Kill 'em, aren't you?
Yeah.
The room has got many would-be councillors in it, but also everyone in this room are beacons. Beacons for what we are stating to be a fact. And I've said this many, many times, so sorry for being like an old record, but you only have to go to the Max Cole report. It is a factual statement. It is and has been created by Labour Party and the Conservatives. It's a non-political product. Keir Starmer was a part of it from day one, and that was read out in the House of Parliament, so that's a fact. So for you guys, I believe everyone here is a beacon. It's a beacon to be pushed out to the four corners of the city. Every one of you has multiple friends. Every one of you, I would love you to all take a picture of here tonight, put it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, whatever it is, and just push out in your own words what you think tonight is. And then that be the flatbed for what we do going forward, because this will be won on social media. I know about leaflets and I know how important they are. We're hoping to do 3 leaflets to every single household. That's what we're hoping to do. We have 100 people signed up to give out leaflets. That doesn't get you guys off the hook, by the way. So you all need to be involved. But on the social media front, it is so easy for you to put that content out to all your friends. And it means so much more. Peer-to-peer marketing, which is what we're talking about, is far stronger than me going on, paying for an advert on Facebook or on Instagram, because people will know it's paid for an advert, and they don't know me, so why should they trust me? But you telling Peter or James or John, who are your personal friends, carries so much more weight. Peer-to-peer marketing is the way forward. It's the amber nectar of all marketing. There is nothing better than it. And you guys telling your message in your own words, not plagiarising off anyone else, but pushing out your content, saying, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a different party running our city, rather than a proven, fraudulent and corrupt Labour Party? So if we can get out to the four corners of the city about just how fraudulent and corrupt they are, how can anyone vote for them? But then you would say, well, there's only 13% that actually do vote for them, which would be correct. But then you would say, you've got to make the disenfranchised, which equates to about 80%, you've got to give them the fire in the belly for them to come out and vote for the first time. I'm a disenfranchised. I'm sure many in this room are disenfranchised. I'm sure there's many in this room that's never voted before, but you're here. So therefore, there's something that resonates within you that makes you want to come here in order for you to make a change. I'm gambling on the fact that the rest of the city feels the same way. You just need to know. So we just need to get the message out. That's all you need to do is go from here and connect to 10 other people with that message. And that message then will resonate. Once that message is out there of fraud and corruption and the fact that it is Labour Party, and it's undeniable, by the way, how can people vote for them? So our campaign, first and foremost, started off with fraud and corruption, giving fire in the bellies to everyone in order to make sure you're here tonight. The next one was fire in the belly to ensure that we get enough councillors. Now it's all about education. Because it's fair to say that the 80%, most of them have never voted before and need to be educated on how to vote, so it is seamless. Because when we come to that crunch time, if we haven't got that message over, there's no chance of us winning. You might get people who are upset enough and maybe bothered enough to walk down there, but because they haven't been educated, when they get there, they'll be turned away. How could I ever say no to you?
Yeah, my name is Manifesto. I'm not a public speaker at all. I'm doing this tonight to give me confidence in public speaking, because I want to get out there and spread this word to people that we've got the power within us to make these changes. And you get programmed to live in fear, but you know how I feel this situation in it? Fearless, because I've got nothing to lose. Anyway, I know, like that feeling, you go, there's something wrong here, I don't know what it is. I felt so alone in it. Coming to listen to Lawrence and all these people coming together, it's liberating to feel like I'm not going insane. Do you know what I mean? I can look my kids in the eye now and know I'm making a difference. I'm pushing forward. Tell anybody who's going to try and stop this, let's go, because I've got nothing to lose anyway. Thank you.
Do you want to come up and speak, or do you want to say from there?
I think this is the closest thing to proportional representation you're going to get. Yeah. I'm now against party politics, and I'll tell you why. Because absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Those who are put in power need to be accountable from day one, and that accountability needs to be maintained. I've fought against corruption in this city for more than 25 years, and I guarantee you now, if I saw this going on with any independent Liberate Liverpool councillor, I will turn on them. And I'll turn on them.
It won't be allowed.
And I'll expose them. And what I'm saying to you is, Lawrence, no, not a party, a collective. And that's what it's about, because it's about you. It's about asking you questions, what you want. Do you want delegated powers from the councillors, from the officers to be stripped? Do you want further investigations into historic corruption, where the money's not for people to be accountable and brought before justice? It's down to you, not down to a small committee, not down to individual councillors that are going to go into these wards. It's you, the people, and it shall always be about you, the people. We must maintain that, or to be honest, I will walk away.
If we can get rid of austerity amongst children, then I believe then we can then move on. But I don't think we can move on until we can prove that we can do that. Because then we're just being political, aren't we? We're talking about what we're going to do. And one of the main parts of what I wanted to do here is to show what we have done. So there's no lies. Okay?
Well,
Yeah, go on.
like this lady, I live in Sefton, and one friend who will remain nameless said, you should stand for Breckfield, because that's where, and he said, no, I can't, because I live in Sefton. But what I will do is I will campaign vigorously wherever I'm sent, and sister, you can do that as well, because we can make the ripple in the pond deep to spread out. Yeah. So but we have to start
Anyone else? Any more questions? Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You know the people who put into public to run the city, are they still here? Have they brought in these new things to ensure that things are done properly? Is that why it's taken?
Oh, so sorry, you're talking about the commissioners?
Yeah.
The commissioners,
So the question is, the commissioners that have come in to the council, have they done things properly? Well, originally the commissioners were brought in to ensure that the wrongs of the past were brought to light. 18 months ago, they were told by the powers that be, which is Labour, not to look any further. Do I feel that the corruption is going on to the same level as before? And the answer is absolutely not. Have there been people in the council who have been caught since, who have been in positions of trust? Yes. So even though the commissioners are there to ensure it doesn't happen, it still happened. Okay? My main problem is, and we've said this before in the past, unless you understand the past, it will repeat itself. So when we get into power, we will put forensic accountants to go right through the system and set in stone exactly what they did, how they did it, and why they did it, and in order for us to ensure it doesn't happen again. Yeah. Anyone else?
Manifesto said, what would you represent?
So it's split into 3 areas. First one is openness and transparency, and to ensure that we would like to be run by committee, not by a leadership or by a mayor. So when Carl spoke before about the possibilities for the same procedures and the same actions to act out again, it would be a lot more difficult for that to happen. On the other side of the coin, it would be about missed opportunities. So beneath missed opportunities would be about how we develop the city. We never want to sell an asset again. So in the public auction, every single developer in the world will be allowed to go, and or individual will be allowed to put their bid together. And it'll be based upon a certain criteria that's already set in stone, because what the council would always do, they would meander to wherever they felt best suited their service. So if they wanted one of their friends to bid a bit less, they would say, well, he bid a bit less than the other chap, but he did because he's delivered 5 sites for us. So there'd be a friendship that would be created there. One of the main areas that we really want to get involved with, and where we see our really big wins, will be in the communities, ensure that the communities have been reborn again. Because I'm a kid from the youth centres, so I learned to play table tennis very, very early on. I still play it today now, and I still play it to quite a high level. But it got me off the streets. A lot of my mates got involved in drugs very, very early on, but I never. I played in Whittle Stadium 5 nights a week, every single week for many, many years. So the youth centres that we lost, that went with Thatcher, and we still have some today, we want to rebuild those, but not just about youth centres, also community centres, also coding centres, also centre of excellences, also conduits for 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids in order to get jobs, also to connect up with local businesses. So, and I've said this many times, so please forgive me this, but I know you haven't been, I don't think you've been here before. We want to reach out, we want to reach out to local companies. Let's use Home and Bargain as an example. We would then go to maybe Walton Youth Centre and put Home and Bargain up the door. It would be Home and Bargain's social responsibility to ensure that those kids have an easier ride from the street into becoming a spark, a joiner, a plumber, or a coder, or a manager, or whatever it may be, which becomes centre of excellence as well, will also be aligned to a local company that has skin in the game, that wants local talent, that wants to be able to give them the option out, that wants to beat its chest in front of the people that it grew up with and say, I'm helping my community. The problem is, it isn't there. There is no conduit there now. There's no option. I tried for many years with someone that had 22 building sites. I've done 1.4 million square foot resurrecting buildings in the city. I used to employ 1,600 people. And yet I couldn't get at the table. And I've got a lot of knowledge on development, building and tourism. And yet I've never been asked once, but would you be upset to know that the head of tourism is about 20 odd years of age, never really having a proper job, and that the head of regen, which is development planning and pretty much everything else, and has probably given us 8 billion in the last 12 years, is 26 years of age and has never worked in that sector. The idea of a meritocracy based on skill set, not on friendship, is absolutely paramount to our movement. So there's a lot of things in our manifesto. I couldn't spout them off to you now because it's about 18 pages long. But in general, it's about creation, making sure we don't miss out on opportunities, bottom-up politics, ensuring that our money, whatever we gain, whatever we create, now at this moment in time, you raise grant funding, there's a lot of friendships that are already at that table to snaffle up that funding. So even though it's there, it goes out to the same old faces. And there's a lot of people in this room that have never been allowed at that table either. I'm not talking about that table. I'm talking about creating our own table, our own garden. And from that, we generate our own profits. Now, any profits we gain from assets can't be given out as wages. But what you can do is you can generate that profit, put it into a local community, whether it be a building or an asset of some sort, and the rent that comes from that can then pay wages, which can then support the infrastructure that supports the centre of excellence, the youth centre, the area where people can learn to code. All those situations can all come around from some very easy, quick wins at the start.
As I said earlier on, we need local jobs for local people by local companies at the living wage. We must have confidence in the skill set that we have here. Liverpool City Council is the biggest employer in the city. And yes, when it comes to procurement, the companies here that can supply labour, can supply goods, most of which are not on that procurement list.
Sure.
We need to smash that. We need to smash the delegated power.
Yeah.
If we don't, we're following or treading in exactly the same footsteps as our predecessors.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about the people here, as I've said before. We need to look at what's going on. The commissioners are here. Actually, the officers are in what's known as a holding pattern. So in other words, they're doing very little until the commissioners leave, and then they're hoping if there's a return of the Labour group or even the Liberal Democrats, it will be business as usual, but just a lot more subtle than it was before. No less, just a lot more subtle. This is why it's so important to make the change now. This is the opportunity that probably will not.
Thanks, Carl.
Lawrence.
Just 1 second before I forget. So, just based on what Carl just stated, then I think there's roughly around 3,000 people at work for the council. But it's just reminded me of a point. When COVID came and Lifestyles Gym was closed down pretty much right away, all of the staff were given 100% of their money, and then were given a further 20% on top of the money for the fact that they've lost out the opportunity of working overtime. So they never worked the overtime. I'm using this as a litmus for how they do it. Everyone got 100% of the money. Everyone got an increase of 20% on top. So they got 120p in the pound. And then every single one of them went to work for Amazon. I'm just using that as an example of how scared the council are. And also want to befriend. And sometimes difficult decisions need to be made. And if, let's just say they'd have come in at 100 pence in the pound, that additional money could have been used for social care. But now they're pulling back social care. So look, I think our council is extremely poor, has been poor for a long time, is absolutely fraudulent and corrupt, and is absolutely everything that we don't want in a council. But as Carl says, we do not want to become them. And we're starting off with what we believe are the regulations in order that it can never meander to that. So that's, look, I started this off with Kev. First thing I did, and people in this room can verify this, I said I want it to be a committee. I don't want it to be the Lawrence Kenwright Party, and it isn't. Because I want to ensure that it isn't about me. It is absolutely about my city, the city that I love and I want to stay in. And I want to make sure that our kids want to stay in as well. If we are successful, and I believe we will be successful, and a lot of that success is based upon the noise that carries from this room. We want to go after the metro area next. We want to go after the MPs in the area as well.
Yes.
Just so you know how difficult that is. When Boris won with a landslide, the Labour MPs only lost a couple of percent, while the rest of the UK lost huge tranches of votes, and obviously that's why you had the landslide. I believe that was because of the entrenchment of the left of the Labour Party. And as I said before, I believe that's gone. So I think Labour now is an empty carcass. I think an awful lot of people, some people can't be bothered, some people can. Hopefully, the more that we tell about the obvious corruption, the more people will be bothered, the more people will get the fire in the belly to get off that couch and go and vote.
Yeah, what is apparent in all this is that there are quite a few of us, like yourself, who are on the periphery, but we've each got our role to play. We can all be strong, and what we have to do is, really back these candidates And it's not a case of what if you don't, it's a case of we're going to do it. You know, there was Lord, send revival, but let it begin with me. And it needs, the revival of the city needs to begin with us as individuals.
Alan said, individually, we've all got our play a part. So if you can't be a counsellor, and if you can't help in any way, the best way to help, the smallest way, is to vote and to tell every person who you know and to share it far and wide. To vote Liberate Liverpool, to vote their independent counsellor.
Sure. Thank you.
Lawrence, Rosie wants to talk.
Go on, Rosie. Come on. Stand up. Go on. Come on.
I'm going to stand. All right.
One of our accountants, by the way. One of our.
It's really just a quick, heartfelt message of thanks. Thanks to you, people of Liverpool, this great city, because it is a great city. I consider myself an honorary Scouser, and I am really honoured to stand and represent you all. And I tell you this, I will represent with integrity, with transparency. Because that is who I am and how I operate anyway. But I'm going to just say something that, a comment that was made to me yesterday by somebody that I shared the videos of our previous meetings. And they asked me, this is somebody that is also of African heritage like myself, and they asked me if there were any other people, African heritage, or what commonly known as black, standing, or indeed attending the meeting. And you know something? It was really lovely for me to actually have to pause and think about it, because it wasn't a consideration for me. It has never been a consideration for me. Because of the welcome that I have felt, continue to feel, and the support that I have felt from everybody, known and unknown. Most of you unknown, but hopefully I will get to know you all at some point. So I really just want to say, as somebody of African heritage who lives in Liverpool and considers it her home, I am very honoured to stand before you as a candidate, and I hope that you will vote and encourage everybody to come out to vote, because this really is an unprecedented time for us and for this great city. We can bring about the change that our city needs, and it starts with every one of us as individuals. So, from my heart to yours, thank you all.
Rosie, you're one of us. You're one of us, it's as simple as that. We don't see any boundaries here. You're one of us. You're with us, and we're honoured to have you, as well as every other person in this room here tonight. This is about liberating Liverpool. This is our city. We're taking it back.
Just a quick thank you. May your God go with you. Whoever that may be, if you believe or believe. We've got a reverend actually running. Where are you, Jane? Yeah. Try smearing a reverend. How's that going to happen, Chief Whip? Because she's up against the Chief Whip. That'll be an interesting contest. And I think I know who's going to win.
Well, Susie, I was speaking to people in that ward just last night.
Belvale Ward.
I was speaking to people in that ward in my taxi last night. And I'll tell you now, Ruthie, dear, has got a problem.
Yes!
Because the Liberate Liverpool Reverend is literally going to smash Bell Head.
And she's going to do it with style. She's not going to do it in an underhanded way. She's just going to spread the truth, which is all we need to do.